Hello everyone, this is Mr. Regner and this is our Unit 6 review for Part 2. Part 2 of our test is a little different than Part 1, so we're going to look at that portion of our study guide right now. Let's get it started here with number 1. Number 1 and 2 are both similar for this portion of our study guide. We need to use the distance formula, which we hopefully know. Distance equals rate times time. Some people think of that as just dirt. So if I'm given the distance and I'm given the time, I can plug that in. That's 92 equals the rate, which I don't know, so I'll keep that as R, and then the time is 8 minutes. If I'm going to get the R alone to figure out the rate, then I need to divide by 8. All right, so I'm going to have R equals, and on this portion it says right here in the directions that you can use your calculator. And for whatever reason, I forgot my calculator at school, so I'm going to use a calculator that's right here on my phone. A lot of phones are equipped with calculators, so it makes it kind of handy. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to type in 92 divided by 8, and I get my answer, which is 11.5, or 11 5/10. So there's my answer. Notice I still have to write out the formula and write out the steps that I'm doing, but the calculation can be done a little bit easier because of my calculator. Let me do the same thing over here. I don't know the distance, so I'm going to keep that as D, but I know my rate is 12, and I know my time is 15. That means I'm taking 12 times 15. Again, I'll just make the math easier here by taking 12 times 15 on my calculator, and that's 180. The funny thing about that is, if I didn't have a calculator for some reason, I could still do that type of math because it's really not that difficult. All right, so there's numbers 1 and 2. Moving along, let's take a look here at number 3. Now the directions here say show all of the steps you take to get the correct answer and be sure to include a proper label. These are worth 4 points each, so each question, it's really important that I'm taking my time to answer it fully. So it says there's 48 students in student council. The ratio of girls to boys is 5 to 7. How many girls are in the student council? So if I think of this, if I have a ratio of 5 to 7, that's girls to boys, right? Because girls to boys is 5 to 7, and the order is important here. So I have 5 girls to every 7 boys. Now if I think about that, I take 5 plus 7. That means there's 12 kids total in that scenario. Well, I know from this example here, there's 48 students. So I want to come up with a total of 48 students total. All right, so what am I doing to 48 or to 12 to get to 48? Here again, if you're not sure, or maybe you're not really thinking too clearly, or maybe you just want some reassurance on your calculator, I could take 48 divided by 12, and that tells me that 12 times 4 equals 48. So if I know that 12 times 4 equals 48, I can then multiply my number of girls times 4, my number of boys times 4, and that's going to give me my ratio of girls to boys, and I'm just taking that and scaling it up. So it's an equivalent ratio. So I can put a little equal sign here. 5 times 4 is 20 girls. And if I really wanted to finish the problem here, 7 times 4 is 28 boys. Now the question is, how many girls are in the student council? So I would definitely answer this by saying there are 20 girls. Pretty easy stuff there. Again, just think about logical thinking. If we know the ratio 5 to 7, we know that means there's 12 total. If we want 48 total, we had to multiply by 4, and that's what I did up here. Let's move on to number 4. Here it is. It says you can buy an 8-pack of paper towels for $8.40 or a 12-pack for $12.96. Which is the better buy, and explain why. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a ratio here and say that I have $8.40 for 8 rolls, or 8-pack, whatever I want to phrase that, okay? For my 12-pack, I'm paying $12.96 for 12 rolls. I want to figure out an equivalent ratio that is actually a unit rate. In other words, the unit price, the price for 1 roll. And I don't know what that price is right now, so I'm going to make a little box here just to indicate that I want to fill that box in. So I can just figure out my unit rate by taking $8.40 divided by 8. because that's really what I'm doing. To go from 8 to 1, I'm dividing by 8. So I'm going to use my calculator again to help me out here. And on the video, this probably looks super smudgy and dirty, and it's got all kinds of little girl fingerprints on it. So 840, again, if I'm using my calculator, it's only as smart as the numbers I put in, divided by 8. That's going to equal $1.05 in my scenario. So $1.05 for one roll. Over here, I can do the same exact math, just with new numbers. So I take $12.96 and divide it by 12 rolls. That's $1.08. So if we compare here, which one is the better buy? Clearly, it's going to be the one that's cheaper. So I would say the 8-pack is the better buy because it is only $1.05 per roll. So it's cheaper, and I could even say it's 3 cents cheaper, or however I want to phrase that to make sure I am clear that it's cheaper. All right, moving on, let's take a look now at number 5. There we are. Number 5 says 6 movie tickets cost $75. How much do 4 movie tickets cost? So I'm going to set up a ratio here and say that it's $75 for 6 tickets. I want to then figure out how much 4 tickets cost. So there's 2 ways I could go about this. I could first take 6 tickets and figure out what I'm doing to get to 4, or I could figure out a unit rate. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out the unit rate or the cost for 1 ticket. And again, just like I did in the last problem, I can simply divide. So I'm going to clear that away and take $75 divided by 6. So that means it's $12.50 for 1 ticket. If I know it's $12.50 for 1 ticket, I'm going to create an equivalent ratio here and figure out how much it costs for 4 tickets. Okay, so let me think, what am I doing here? I'm taking 1 times 4 to get to 4. So I need to take $12.50 times 4 to get my answer here. So I already have $12.50 in my calculator. I'm going to multiply it by 4, and I get 50. So it costs $50 for 4 tickets. Whenever you're doing a problem like this, I always recommend, too, just thinking about it. Would it make sense if it's $75 for 6 tickets, $12.50 for 1, and $50 for 4? Does that make sense in your mind? And hopefully you're thinking, yeah, that sounds about right. So always do that little check with yourself and just make sure it sounds right. Let's move on to number 6. It says a pint of strawberries costs $3.60. For a sale, the store offers a 3rd pint free if you buy 2 pints at the regular price. Find the unit price of a pint of strawberries when you buy 3 on sale. All right, so I can say that it's $3.60 for 1 pint. That's not on sale, that's just 1 pint. That means if I buy 2 pints, the cost is double that. If I'm feeling super lazy and I just want to use my calculator and make sure, I can do that. $3.60 times 2 is $7.20. And again, that's no math that I couldn't do on paper or on my own without a calculator, but the calculator is there if you need it. This means that if I buy 3 pints, keep in mind 3 pints is the same because we're getting that 3rd pint for free. So $7.20 for 3 pints. Okay? If I want to find the unit rate now, I need to figure out what 1 pint is. So 1 pint, think about it. I'm going from 3 to 1. I'm dividing by 3. So I'm going to take $7.20 and divide by 3. That leaves me with an answer of $2.40 for 1 pint. That's my cost for 1 pint if I buy 3 on sale. This is easy stuff. We're moving right along here. Here's number 7. This one could be tricky because it's all a matter of reading it and understanding it. We have Sean and Dana each painting a picture. Sean spent 6 minutes painting his picture for every 4 minutes that Dana spent painting her picture. Each person started painting at 6 p.m. and Dana finished painting her picture at 6:32 p.m. We want to know at what time did Sean finish painting his picture. So I'm going to think of this with Sean and Dana. All right, maybe this is going to help me. Now, Sean spent 6 minutes painting, and Dana spent 4 minutes painting. So I have a ratio of 6 minutes to 4 minutes when I think of it that way. If they started at 6 p.m., how long or how many minutes did it take Dana to paint her picture? Think about it for a minute. They all started at 6. She finished at 6:32. It takes Dana 32 minutes to paint her all of her pictures, right? So I'm going to make an equivalent ratio where Dana takes 32 minutes. If that's the case, I need to figure out then how many minutes it took Sean to paint all of his pictures. All right, so it's just an equivalent ratio. If I'm thinking about this with my calculator, here it is back again, I could take 32 divided by 4 and figure out my answer here is 8, which means 4 times 8 equals 32. That's math we probably should have known. So I can fill that in here. I'm going to take 4 times 8. That means I can take 6 times 8. And again, if you're not sure what it is, you've got a calculator to use, right? So hopefully we know already that 6 times 8 is 48. But if you didn't know, you could type it in your calculator. All right, 6 times 8 is 48, by the way. That means it took Sean 48 minutes to paint the same number of pictures that Dana painted. So that's not the question, though. The question is, at what time did he finish? He started at 6 p.m. So we're going to take 6 p.m. and then add 48 minutes to that. That means he finishes at 6:48 p.m. So we could say Sean finished at 6:48 p.m. That's really truly the question that they want us to answer. All right, that's number 7. Number 8, kind of similar because it's a similar setup, but a different question, different numbers, of course. Let's take a look at it. Chrissy is saving to buy a $700 motorbike by working during summer vacation. The job pays her $6 for every 1 hour worked. Chrissy works exactly 30 hours each week. If Chrissy works for 4 weeks and buys the motorbike, how much money will she have left over? So we know that she's working for $6 for every hour. I'm going to make this ratio, $6 for 1 hour. She's working 30 hours every week. So I'm going to figure out her weekly pay because I know this is going to be 30 hours. I don't know how much money she's going to make. So this is what I can figure out. 1 times 30 equals 30. So I need to take 6 times 30 to figure out her weekly pay. If I don't know what that is, I've got my calculator. That's 180. That's math I could have done easily, but the calculator just makes it even easier. That means she's making $180 for 1 week. Okay? And she works for 4 weeks. So I can figure out pretty easily here with my ratios how much she's going to make in 4 weeks. So let me think about how I could do this. 1 times 4 equals 4. So 180 times 4. And here I can do my math on my calculator again. So just times 4, that's $720. So in 4 weeks, she's going to make $720. Let me think here. That motorbike costs $700. So if I don't know this off the top of my head or I'm not sure, I can always take the total money that she made, right? Made, I'm trying to write made here. And then I can take the cost of the bike and I can subtract and figure out that she's going to have $20 left over. Okay, so to answer this question, because it does ask me, if she works for 4 weeks and buys the motorbike, how much money will she have left over? We could say Chrissy will, oops, that says will, have $20 left over. Super important, by the way, on these questions to read the actual question and answer the actual question that's being asked. If we don't answer the question, we haven't really answered the question that they want to know. All right, so we can do all the math the right way, but we still have to make sure we're answering the question. Let's move on now to our last two. Numbers 9 and 10 are both multiple answer, meaning there's more than one correct answer. Now, I will tell you that on our study guide today, number 10 is only going to have one correct answer, but on our test tomorrow, we're going to have more than one right answer. So it's a good idea that we are prepared for that. Let's start off by looking at number 9. It says, circle the letter of all the statements that represent a unit rate. In other words, it's a rate that is compared to one of the things. All right, so let's look at letter A. Well, can I go letter by letter? Sam gave 3 pieces of paper for every 2 students in class. That's 3 to 2, or 3 to 2. That's not a unit rate because I don't have a 1, so it can't be A. Kelly's bike raced down the hill at 12 miles per hour. 12 miles per hour. That's a ratio of 12 to 1. That 1 indicates it's a unit rate, so B is correct. Letter C, Anna earns $5 an hour for working in her aunt's restaurant. That's $5 an hour, or a ratio of 5 to 1. That is a unit rate. Corey made fruit baskets with 4 pieces of fruit per basket. That's a ratio of 4 to 1. That is a unit rate. Letter E, Megan used 4 parts of yellow paint for every 2 parts of blue paint to make a shade of green paint. That's 4 to 2. That's what it would look like, and that is not a unit rate. Jose washes 6 dogs for $35. That's a ratio of 6 to 35. That is not a unit rate, as it's presented right there on the page. Now, all of these ones I marked off, I could reduce it down or scale it down and figure out the unit rate, but I want to look at them just as they're presented in the letter and in the options. Let's move on now to number 10. Number 10 says a quiz contains spelling and grammar questions. The ratio of spelling questions to total questions is 1 to 3. Circle all of the letter statements that are true about the quiz. So the ratio of spelling to total is 1 to 3. So I know there's going to be 1 spelling question. That got cut off on the video. And I have 2 grammar. And I have 3 total questions. How did I figure out I have 2 grammar? Because I'm just that intelligent. And I know there's 3 total. There's 1 spelling. That means there's 2 grammar. So let me look at my options. Letter A says the ratio of total questions to spelling questions is 4 to 1. Well, the total is 3. Spelling is 1. So because the total is 3, that can't be right. Letter B, the ratio of grammar questions to total questions is 3 to 5. Well, there's 2 grammar questions and 3 total. So even if I bump that up, it would be 4 to 6. It's still not 3 to 5. So that one is incorrect. The ratio of spelling questions to grammar questions is 3 to 1. Let me think. Spelling is 1. Grammar is 2. There's no way it's going to be 3 to 1. The ratio of spelling questions to grammar questions is 1 to 2. Spelling to grammar, 1 to 2. That would be correct. So letter D gets a circle. And then finally, letter E, there are 2 more grammar questions than spelling questions. Let me look at it. Here's the spelling questions. Do I have 2 more? That would mean there's 3 grammar questions. No, I only have 1 more. So it can't be letter E. So I only have 1 answer choice here, and it's D for our study guide. But again, keep in mind that on our quiz, or actually our unit test coming up, there's going to be more than 1 answer for numbers 9 and 10. That's our review of Unit 6 for Part 2. Make sure that you're ready for our Unit 6 test. Big points are on the line, and as you can see, with the addition of using your calculator, hopefully you're going to find this to be pretty easy stuff. All right, I'm Mr. Regner. Have a great day, and good luck on your Unit 6 test. Say good luck.
Good luck.